we want to welcome in one Gary Mandella, son of Hall of Fame trainer Richard Mandella. Of course, Gary, a full-time assistant to his father, which, I'm jealous. I can tell you that, my father, having been an attorney and a horseman in his own right, he told me not to become a lawyer. But from a horseman aspect, it's really great that, you have that opportunity to just kind of be that sponge and absorb some wonderful traits and just a superhuman being. Gary Mandella, welcome to the Wednesday Work Show.
Thank you for that, Nick. Means a lot, and it is. It's a real privilege to be able to see the industry of horse racing through the eyes of somebody that looks at it from the perspective that my father does. It's truly a privilege.
Yeah, the one thing that I can appreciate most is the fact that while your father gives you the impression he's a by-the-book type trainer, he really isn't. He's very intuitive, and that skill is something that you can't teach. And based on his accolades and what he's been able to accomplish in his career, I think speaks volumes for that. So we, on behalf of all of us at My Racehorse, we can't tell you how much we thank you and your father for the time that you've devoted to My Racehorse, our stock, and of course a company that's on the up and up.
No, absolutely. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you and to have the horses that we've had that have been really enjoyable to be around. Some great individuals in terms of what they're like to be around the barn, and most of them have given us some pretty good days along the way, and we've had a little bit of fun and try and keep it going and maybe even win something bigger down the road. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly is an ebb and flow game, is it not? The fact that Moonlight D'Oro, having been sent to the sideline, likely could have been a Kentucky Oaks favorite, but she'll be back the latter end of the year. The updates from the farm look quite positive. We're going to have a couple of works we're going to pull up today, and I think I jumped ahead of things, but we first wanted to start with Naismith, and the objective that we're trying to accomplish is, well, first and foremost, the horse that debuted back on February 21st has had 4 drills since. And Joe, feel free to jump in and ask the necessary questions. But Gary, this workout on April 4th, visually, I was impressed. What was the mentality going into the work, and what were you trying to accomplish?
What we've been trying to accomplish with Naismith from a mental standpoint is something that's a little bit common from horses that come out of 2-year-old sales. Because to go through that process, they're taught to be very sharp and to blast off from the pole and show what they're made of right away. And for some horses that can work in racing scenarios, but not for all of them. And most of them are better off once they get to the racetrack and you have to start preparing them for something longer than a 1 furlong breeze, teaching them how to relax. And that's what you're seeing here, where the rider had a target for him, tried to make him wait instead of just go right after him and catch him as soon as he could. Try and time it and have the last quarter be a big finish to try to smooth out his natural tendencies mentally. My dad feels like this horse has plenty of ability and there's some pretty good days ahead for him, but he's got some growing up to do in terms of maturing in the mental part of the game. And you've seen that in quite a few works of his going forward. And it does seem like after his first race, it's starting to click a little bit better and he's starting to get it.
Yeah, and I'll jump in real quick here, Nick, and I'll say we were not able to get the work on film from last week when I believe he worked with the Brazilian colt or gelding. I'm trying to remember the name. I'm drawing a blank here. But it was Royal Ship, yes. And he worked on the outside of him, and it was one of the works that I think kind of caught my eye because it was, prior to the debut, that was something you guys have been working on with him for a while, was trying to get him to settle and relax. And it was probably the first work that I've seen from him, and maybe you can touch on it a little bit, of him going in company side by side with another horse. Both horses finished, in hand, well in hand, not trying to run off or do anything like that. And I thought from a maturity standpoint, it was a major jump out of that race from going into the race.
Yeah, exactly. It was a perfect example of what I was trying to explain before. Him sort of getting it, quote unquote, and doing it in the form of working with a horse who's, if anybody saw his last race, Royal Ship's a legitimate stakes horse on this circuit and is a very good workhorse. So to stand in there and look him eye to eye and not be pulling on the rider the whole way, to do it the right way, and be able to relax when he needed to relax and pick it up when he needed to pick it up, was a nice sign from this horse. And we feel like this horse is going to be able to show a little bit more of what his real ability is when his race comes up in a couple of weeks.
All right. Well, he certainly looks the part and looks to be training forwardly. And, you know, I can take appreciation for the fact that, as you know, Gary, after horses have had a race in tow, they get back into the swing of things in training, and they tend to be a bit overly aggressive, you know. So for me, he looks as if he is settled, and hopefully that will be a good sign of things to come as we move toward career start number 2. All right, well, let's talk about the seasoned veteran. And I know that